And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to Los Gran Finales, back into the grand finals of the Code for Giants Cup number 12, your Brazilian tournament. We have had a pretty intense tournament so far. We've had some ups, we've had some downs. It's been a long event already, and now we are here. We have made it to the grand finals. It all ends here with a Terran champion. But who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? If you're in the chat, predictions now open. Place your bets on who you believe will be the champion this week. Will be one Terran or the other. Best of luck. As spawning in the top right-hand corner of Ghost River, we have the Brazilian Terran player, the blue Terran representing the Platinum Heroes. It is INexorable. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the Brazilian Terran, the red Terran player representing Team Hellfire. It is Yan. We go. Again, we were able to feature INexorable earlier against Kamikaze in a TvT, but it was a very different kind of TvT as well. Kamikaze was just hyper aggressive, was constantly in his face, had some unorthodox builds, and INexorable was able to survive the aggression. Yeah, it was a wild game though. It was a wild series. It was a very wild series. Did go the way of INexorable in the end. Meanwhile, Yan, he has yet to be tested against the Terrans this week. So we'll see how he does perform. For now, double gas. Double gas open out of Yan, double gas out of INexorable. It makes sense on a small map like this, on a small map like Ghost River. It's quite risky and quite greedy to go for a Rax expand, so neither player goes for an economic opener. Both players are going for a faster factory. Now this can lead into Reactor Reaper Hellion, can lead into Cyclones, can lead into early tank production, into an early tank drop. There are options. There are options here for both of these Terran players with how they want to approach this. What do they go for? We're here to find out. We are here to find out. Otherwise, hope you've all been enjoying yourselves. As we're nearing the end of the broadcast. One series left. One best of 5. Uno más. Once again, I didn't get much sleep last night. I forgot that we had an event this morning until a little bit later. Not too much sleep, but we're good. We're good to go. We're good to go. As we do see INexorable getting punished. Was the initial Reaper opener here by Yan. Did go for the second Reaper. Doesn't quite get the Reaper kill, but does zone INexorable away. INexorable did open up Reaper into Reactor Reaper instead. As we do see Yan just take control, getting to his own Cyclone and being more defensive initially. Meanwhile, INexorable is being more aggressive. What's he going for? He's going for a Reactor Reaper Hellion. This is designed to bust into a mineral line to get into, just delay the expansion or get into some economic damage. INexorable should be the aggressor here. So he does move out. Yan behind this has the first Cyclone. Interesting that he's going Cyclone into Hellion behind this instead. Marine production has begun. No safety bunker on the low ground. INexorable has potential for now, just taking a defensive stance, just building up, waiting for an extra wave of reinforcements. There it is. 2 more Reapers and another Hellion are on the way. He's getting up to 5 Reaper, 3 Hellion. A very aggressive build here by INexorable. His goal here is to just break the natural, to break through this defensive line and deal some economic damage. We'll see if he can. Here we go. He pulls the trigger. Moving out across the map. Back at home, what do we have? We have a Cyclone in the main, 2 Marines in the main base. The army is split. The army is split, and INexorable can't take advantage of that. Gets a Marine. 1 Marine goes down. Pushing into the natural, getting to the mineral line. Mule falls as well, and so many SCV kills. Oh my god! 5, 6, 7 SCV kills. 8 SCVs and a Mule, and he can trade with the main army, going for the Cyclone. He's snowballing out of control, and it looks like just like that INexorable, he will, if he can just take it here and now. There's 1 tank left. And the tank, it looks like it's going to go down as well, just barely. And this is critical damage. The economy has been crippled, the army has been crippled as well. There's still 2 Hellions left, getting what little is left here at the natural. Another Mule, another SCV. Ay. And this was not meant to kill, by the way. This was meant to get economic damage. That is true, as we were mentioning. Unfortunately, Yan was just out of position. Yan, his army was split, so his forces were weakened as a result. On top of that, he didn't get eyes on the main army moving out, so he didn't know to be in position. has 12 SCV kills. INexorable getting a third CC on location. And he's miles ahead. He's up in economy, he's up in army. His Ravens have arrived. And he's even taking a chance and going for the third base at the third location. Crazy. I mean, may as well. Now, all INexorable has to do from here is play safe. That's all he has to do. He has a lead. He just has to maintain the lead. And you can see him here in the main. He has one tank in position. Second tank's on the way. He just has to chill, calm things down, and settle into the mid game. Meanwhile, on the other side, on the flip side of things, Yan is, I was gonna say he's all in. He's quite committed here. He either has to go for an all in, or he has to be hyper greedy and also go into a third base on location and like get a fast fourth CC, or play mech and throw down a second factory and slow things down. Yan does have some comeback potential, but there's a lot of pressure on him. The onus is on Yan to bounce back. And what's it going to be? Going for the add-on swap. Tech Lab on the racks tells us it's not going to be mech, it's going to be bio. Should be stim. Speaking of stim, already on the way here for INexorable. Scans, INexorable, he confirms the production. Now we can see it's going to be Viking production, not medevacs for Yan. Interesting. Going with Vikings, third TC, tells us it's not going to be an all-in. Yan is going to try to play this out. Bold move. Bold move out of Yan. INexorable, he does move out. His third base getting up and running. INexorable has quite an army to work with, and because he has triple Raven, he can disable every single tank. I say that there's 4 tanks. That's a lot of tanks. But now rotating over. The army does commit in. Tanks do on siege. They pull back. INexorable trying to get in position. The tank line is looking brutal here. Yanni does hold. And INexorable doesn't have to push in. That's the thing here. He already has the third. It's already saturated. All he has to do is contain. Just contain Yan on 2 bases. And from here, INexorable can get a 4th CC and get into 2-2 upgrades. Again, just calm things down and macro up. There's no pressure on INexorable to do any more than that. Now Yan can still take a good fight. He's got triple Raven of his own, so he has disable potential. Even being down in armor supply, he can try to outposition his opponent. It is still possible. But again, the pressure is on. Rocks are being knocked down. Yan is aware. I hope he's aware as he moves out. As INexorable moves in, Yan is the first to siege. But here come the disables. Mass disable on all the tanks. The counter disables though. The Marines, they stim in. Upgrades are in favor of INexorable, and he just snowball out of control. He breaks through the defensive line. GG gets called, and INexorable takes game number 1. GG. INexorable does take a lead here, does take the first game. Again, he snowballed out of control with his opener, if you recall. It was Reactor Reaper Hellion. It was 5 Reapers and 3 Hellions, and he was able to catch Yan with his pants down. Yan was out of position. He lost his army. He lost his economy. He lost everything to the first push of INexorable. GG. GG, well played. With that, INexorable, he just had to play it out safely. He had to just calm things down. He got his third base on location. He got his third base fully saturated. Then he hit with 1-1 upgrades. GG. GG, well played. We're now jumping into game number 2. Jumping into that second game. It's going to be on YanXII. Now, I don't imagine that INexorable is going to be going for the same build 2 games in a row. I feel like a big strength of that build as well was the fact that it was on Ghost River, so the rush distance by ground is quite short, it's quite small, so it hits that much harder. On a larger map like Side Delta or like YanXII, or even Golden Aura, then I would not quite expect that same opener. I imagine INexorable is going to be mixing it up. And Yan will have a lot more freedom in the early game, and will have a lot more potential to have a back and forth mid game. Or Yan could be the aggressor himself. True, true. Could be Yan instead. I mean, this map is not a bad map for a proxy, is what I will say. We've seen many a proxy racks in TvT on this map. Just because how large it is, the Terran player is prone to opening up economically, and if they do, I mean, you can cheese them out. Does happen. But here we go, we're getting into game 2, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alcyone, we have the Brazilian Terran player, the blue Terran, representing the Platinum Heroes. It is INexorable. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the Brazilian Terran player, the red Terran, representing Team Hellfire. It is Yan. Here we go. We are going to be settling in. And as I just mentioned, this map is far more larger than Ghost River, which means the likelihood of us opening up economically is higher here on this map. And there's no proxy. There's no SCVs out on the map. There is no proxy racks from either player. So we can ease our way in and settle down. Can settle things down. Oh, I say that, so we do have a double gas opener out of Yan. Meanwhile, economic opener out of INexorable. It's going to be a Rax expand, so INexorable is going to be taking a more defensive stance here in game number 2. Yan is going to be the aggressor. Now, this is not an all-in by any means. It's just a faster factory, can lead into Reactor Reaper Hellion, can lead into Cyclones. In general, Yan though should be the offender, and INexorable the defender. SCV dips in, does get eyes on the factory. INexorable is aware. And he knows. Likewise, CC on the low ground for INX. Reaper does spawn in, does shut down the SCV. Reactor is on the way. I mean, after what just happened in game 1, it's possible that Yan just feels like he can do the same. He might just feel like he wants to embrace the same kind of opener himself with Reactor Reaper. Meanwhile, INX does shoot first. Oh, he shoots first. He does take a lot of damage, and he will bring down the first Reaper. Oh, this should not have happened. Up. Oh, doesn't get away. Ay. And it was going to be Reactor Reaper Hellion, and the first Reaper going down is brutal. A lot of the momentum stripped away from Yan. Not like this. Again, the power of this kind of opener is as you build up the units over time, as you build up your Reapers, you can get across the map, you can get so much more done. Okay, it's just the one Hellion. Just one Hellion into Cyclone. Yan is calming things down and building up. It might also be because he lost the first Reaper, he's going to deviate away, and he's only making 2. Only 2 Reapers. Then into Marine, into Cyclone, into Medevacs, into a longer game. So INexorable, he has defended. He is saturating his natural. Getting to his own 1-1-1. Yan is going for initially a Tech Lab on the starport, going for a Raven first. For the Raven opener. Hellion Reaper moving out. They do hit the natural, but there's a Cyclone. INexorable does defend. There's just not much to stop him. Yan will at least catch a Reaper. Behind this, getting into early tank production. So Yan will have the tank lead. Tank just now on the way for... it's going to be a slight tank lead for Yan. Getting into Ravens, getting into his auto turrets. To his disable. Yan slipping into the main. Will get an SCV, not bad. Gets one. Looking to get two. Two SCVs go down. 3 SCVs even. So pretty good damage here from Yan. Likewise across the map, Cyclone Jump going for 3. No shot! It gets the Raven! A Raven does fall for a Cyclone. Very well worth it here. Nice trade for INexorable. Was worthwhile. Raven losses this early on are brutal. Like, Ravens, they have so much utility in TvT. I mean, we saw it in the last game. Ravens, they can make or break a fight for you. But the first Raven already going down. Ay, ay, ay. That should not have happened. Now Yan is up against the wall. Third CC on the way for INexorable. Likewise now being thrown down for Yan. Just a couple of seconds later. Not too long. But I mentioned before that because this map is so large, like macro setups and macro games are a little more commonplace, and that's what we're getting here. So we are experiencing, so we can settle in. On top of that, losing a Raven most likely is also forcing a more macro game out of Yan. INexorable dropping into the main, designed to scout more than anything, and INex will get eyes on the third CC. We'll even delay it. We'll try to with his tanks. Yeah, there are tanks to defend. Doesn't touch the CC. INexorable moving out, getting in position to deny the third. That's all he really needs to do. That goes down. INexorable diving into the natural. Army's out of position. First tank gets disabled. Order turret gets thrown down. Ooh, and Yan completely out of position. One tank falls. The CC as well. No shot. Can he get the kill? The counter disables. Counter disables are coming in. Tank low is going up. Another tank goes down. And the boys are being pulled. Looks like Yan, he will defend. He will clean this up, but for a cost. Oh my god. At the cost of 17 SCVs, he saves the expansion, but was it worth it? I mean, he's alive. He scans ahead of time. He spots the would-be third base, and yeah, he has to counterattack, but he doesn't really have much to work with. So some Vikings at least. Staying back home. Does stay back home, trying to get his own third. He's down 14 workers. The Raven count was reset. Both players lost all their Ravens. Yan at least has the Viking lead. And I believe the tank lead as well. Yeah, does have the tanks. Scan reveals the army positioning. Lack of third base. INexorable probably feels good about this. It's feeling good, feeling safe, feeling secure. Here we go. And is now expanding. A very late expansion here from the Red Terran. INexorable ready for his own kind of drop. And just like the previous game, like there's no pressure. Like there's no pressure on INexorable to move out. He can just chill. He can just calm things down, settle into 3 bases, get a 4th CC, soon to be on location. INexorable is still moving out though. The upgrades are evening up. 1-1 finishing up for Yan. He has a nice tank spread. Breaking this is not going to be easy. INexorable, if he overextends, he can lose that. He can lose that lead. Doesn't want to push into those tanks. Double drop into the main base. Will unload. Not many Marines to respond. At the same time, INexorable, he thinks about the dive. Meanwhile, Marines, they get into the mineral line. Not again. Ooh, so many SCV kills. Boys are being pulled. Workers are going down. And this is well worth it. Oh my god. Critical damage. 21. 21 SCV. 23. 23 SCV kills. He's not done. 24. And the main army pulls back home. Again, there's no reason to push up this ramp. There's no reason to push into this tank line. 25 SCV kills. Medevacs survive. They get out. And INexorable, he is miles ahead at this point. Again, the only thing he's vulnerable against is an all-in. And Yan, he has to move out. Like, there's no macroing out of this. Not after how many losses? 41 SCVs! 41 SCVs throughout the course of this game. Crazy! He's moving out. And again, he is up in Vikings. So he can make use of this tank army. But the longer this goes on, the worse and worse it becomes for Yan, as he's already almost maxed out. It's like, oh my god. I don't know if I can see this move out really working, but I mean, that's the only option. That's all we can do. Outside of a Doom Drop, true, right? Like, if we were casting Kamikaze, I mean, we could Doom Drop into the main and pull something else off, but there's a ring of turrets here in the main base as well. There's no way in. Inex is ready. His own main army moving out. Stims in. The tanks are unsieged. He's going to get at least 3. These 3 tanks go down. He stims in. Spreads out his army. Avoids the tank shots. And he cleans up everything. GG gets called. INexorable takes a 2-0 lead in the grand finals. GG. Oh my god, Pappy. Very impressive stuff here by INexorable. Again, he had a bit of a stronger start. Able to deflect the aggression of Yan. And able to pull him apart as well. He was threatening a drop into the main, if you recall. He found an opening at the natural, and he was able to just wreak havoc, deal critical damage, and did the opposite afterwards, where he was kind of trying to distract at the third, and then snuck into the main base with a double drop as well. Just both times dealing critical economic damage, just getting himself further and further ahead. And now suddenly, we're in game 3, and INexorable needs one game to become our champion. And I know that Yan can fight back. I know that he can make a series out of this, but the problem is, of course, that both these games so far, Yan has been falling behind economically. He's been having a hard time keeping up with the movement, whether it's job play, whether it's counterattacks. We have seen INexorable just pop off time and time again and just create these opportunities, create these openings for himself. Like, Yan just hasn't been able to settle into the mid game. Like, I'm sure he wants to get into like 3 base versus 3 base and like these bio armies, these tank positions and these move outs, but we just haven't gotten there. Not yet. Meanwhile, looks like INexorable, he's asking for a break. Understandable. I mean, it's a best of 5. We're 2 games in, so that we are more than happy to accommodate. But our players are asking for a moment, so we may as well just go on a short break. Yeah, it's been intense though. It's been intense. When it comes to today's broadcast, I believe this is our only cast today. Quickly checking, we don't have anything else later on. Wardy is hosting a tournament in the evening. He's hosting the Wardy Invitational, so there's that at least going on. And our next cast should be the Pondcast tomorrow. So we're going to be hosting the Pondcast tomorrow. That is our weekly kind of podcast of StarCraft 2. You know, we do go over the events of the week, going over all the scores, all the results, and all the news as well. We had a lot of roster changes and a lot of players leaving teams and joining teams last week, and there's a lot to go over this week as well. We had Streamer Zone recently pick up a bunch of players, and many other news. You know, we have Zombie Grub organizing and creating a Kickstarter to host, to fund documentaries, which is really fun to go over. I mean, I don't want to say that we prompted it last week, but we did have a discussion about documentaries last week, just because of the Clem Comeback Kid trailer that was released. So we were discussing documentaries and how we don't really have them anymore in StarCraft. It's been a very long time, and there's so much history to go over. And then suddenly, 1 week later, Zombie Grub did announce that she's intending to make documentaries or interviews or, like, you know, kind of chronicle the history of StarCraft herself. So, yeah. Is it because of us? Probably not, but but you know what? It's in line with the narrative. You know, it all flows together. Beautiful. Regardless, here we go. We're getting into our next game. Potentially the final game of the series, as spawning in the top right-hand corner. So what I'm getting at is there's a lot to talk about tomorrow. It's going to be a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss. But spawning in the top right-hand corner of Crimson Court, we have the Brazilian Terran player, the Blue Terran, representing the Platinum Heroes. It is INexorable. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Brazilian Terran player, the Red Terran, down 0-2 in this series. He needs to fight back here and now to create a series out of this, to extend the series and get into Game 4, potentially have an ace match in Game 5. The pressure is on. It is Yan. Here we go. Goes. We are settling in. It is going to be double gas open out of INexorable. Meanwhile, we have a Rax expand out of Yan. So for the first time this series, Yan is going for something more economic. He is looking to take a faster CC on the low ground. Meanwhile, INexorable with the double gas opener can lead into something more aggressive. Now, the last time we saw INexorable go double gas, it was on Ghost River in Game 1, and INexorable did go into Reactor Reaper Hellion, and he snowballed out of control in the early game. He was able to deal critical damage. He basically set himself up for success with the initial aggression. SCV Scout comes in, and Yan does confirm. Now, this doesn't have to be Reactor Reaper Hellion. This can lead into faster Banshees, faster tank production, can lead into like a 2-base all-in with like double starport, like Mass Viking. There's a lot of options here for INexorable, but at least Yan is aware of that, and he's aware that he has to take a more defensive stance. There we go. Bunker on the low ground. So Yan playing very carefully, very safely. Bunker is on the way. A big reason for this is because Yan is only making one Reaper. Just the one Reaper into Marine production. Marines are very fragile units this early on. To hold their own, they need that bunker. Without it, they're going to just fall over. They will topple over. Meanwhile, it's the same build. Reactor Reaper Hellion, let's go. It is the same build as we saw on Ghost River. 2 Reapers are scouted, already a bit of a tell. I mean, this could just be a double Reaper opener. And even if it is Reactor Reaper, it could just be 2 Reapers and one Hellion. If you remember, this is what Yan went for in the previous game on Akia. So Yan still only has a piece of the puzzle. The bunker is scouted. Hellion Reaper just avoids the bunker, heads into the mineral line. One SCV goes down. For 1 Reaper. 2 Reapers even. Very nice control out of Yan. It will shut INexorable down. So even though INexorable is going to be reinforcing, suddenly his army is that much weaker. We're missing 2 Reapers. They just got picked up. So a nice defense here out of Yan. He's holding quite nicely. He may have lost the worker, but it was worth it. It was a better trade for the Red Terran. Meanwhile, a shout out to Zoners in the chat. Oh my god. Pappy. Thank you so much, Pappy God. Thank you so much for resubscribing with Twitch Prime for 2 months in a row, for 4 months in total. Gracias. Thank you so much, Pappy. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you enjoy the content, the casting, and the StarCraft. Thank you. Thank you. Do appreciate it. Do appreciate it, as INexorable does pull back, does get the hell out of here. Does pull back home, is now taking expansion, a much later expansion compared to Yan, and he's going into his own Raven production. Both players are. So the game will progress, and Yan, for the first time in this series, Yan has an economic lead. Crazy. Let's go. It's crazy as well. He's up in economy. Meanwhile, we do have INexorable moving out. Going for a Hellion Cyclone drop into the main. But alas, our Cyclones are lying in wait. Yan, he's ready for this. Yan is in position. INexorable attempts to dive. But he should be punished. He spots the Cyclones. He backs the hell off. He gets the hell out of here. Pulls away. INexorable does pull away. Behind this, getting to his own tank Raven, third CCs in production for both players, and for the first time this series, it feels like an even game stage. Or I say an even game. It feels like Yan is ahead, and we're able to settle into a longer game, and we can have it back and forth. Both in game 1 and in game 2, we had INexorable take early leads. This time, that is not the case. This time we have a very different dynamic. And on top of that, we're on Crimson Court. Oh boy, Crimson Court is known for longer macro games as well. The reason for this, I should go over some of the features of the map, is because of how defendable these fringe bases are. I'm referring to this base here on the left and on the right hand side. To apply pressure and to be aggressive here on these bases, you have to knock down rocks, you have to mine through minerals, you have to rotate over, and I mean these areas, there are choke points as well, there are ramps. It is very easy on Crimson Court to wall up, wall off, and cut the map in half. As a result, we've seen a lot of late game on Crimson Court. Once we settle into the mid game, it's not so difficult to head in towards the late game as well. Likewise, because of how distinct the attack paths are, it can be quite difficult catching your opponent off guard, as it can be a lot easier to get eyes on these very specific kind of like crossroads and attack paths to spot army rotations. Speaking of, I mean, INexorable, he's got his Reapers in position. And does initially move out. At least the Cyclones are spotted. Catching out both Reapers. The drop does somehow slip into the main though. Does slip in, doesn't get many SCV kills. They do line up. Tempting. A lot of lost mine time here in the main. Drop towards the natural. More SCVs going down. Yan otherwise distracted. Late to respond. And INexorable, he will get a couple of SCV kills, but nothing too major. 5 SCVs. 5 workers go down. Alas, Yan still has a worker lead. I mean, thanks to the initial economic opener. The pressure has been on INexorable to get some damage done. Third base is now being taken, and again, Yan, he does have that slight economic edge. Oh, god damn it. I apologize, I didn't notice, I don't think my brain wanted me to notice, but on top of being ahead economically, and on top of the fact that we're on Crimson Court, which is known for its late game macro game, it's mech. It is mech, it is mass tank production for Yan. He gets 5 SCVs across the map. Yan has a 10 worker lead. More than a 10 worker lead at this point. He's prioritizing high-sec auto track. No! He's prioritizing high-sec auto tracking. From here he can go into Neil Steel frames. He's walling up. He's walling up. He's walling off. He's turtling his heart out. Getting into mass tank, double armory, double upgrades, and INexorable, he's pushing in. Can he break Yan ahead of time? Uh-oh. Can he pull this off? Tanks, they do unsiege in time, they do pull away, but the CC's under fire. CC's under threat. But last, because of the tank line, INexorable, he cannot gain ground. Yeah, the Ravens are thrown away by the Vikings. 1 Raven goes down. High energy Raven as well. Did have a lot of energy. Another tank falls, and Yan holds. Yan, he resets the tank count. He defends his third base. Sure, he lost mining time, but he didn't lose much more than that. INexorable looking for another way in. Does disable, but I don't think he can pull this off. He's trying to force his way up the ramp. He disables 3 tanks, but yeah, it's not enough. Yan holds, and Yan is getting further ahead. He shuts down the main army. He still has the better economy. And INexorable, he was just too committed there. He overextended. He lost too much. And suddenly Inex, he's in a rough spot. Now, a couple of things here. On the one hand, there is going to be a window, there's going to be a timing available, this 1-1 upgrade timing where Yan can just move out across the map. But it's also possible, especially with this double expansion, that Yan might just turtle. He might just turtle and max out. Now, this will give INexorable the chance to recover, because Yan isn't punishing him. INexorable, he lost so much supply in that attack. He was forced back home. He is vulnerable. Yan is not going to capitalize on that. I don't think he is. We'll see. Does unsiege. I'm curious if he... Nah, okay, never mind. I was like, I'm curious if he moves out, but you can see he's just repositioning. He's spreading out his army. Doom drop towards right-hand side. Turrets are finishing up just in time. Yan is in position to defend the center base. Yeah, Yan is just turtling up. He's just walling up. Now, this drop won't be able to gain access to the main, but it can actually drop the third. There's a nice position here to take down the gas geyser, get a couple of SCVs. Does INexorable commit?
The add-on is finished, so you have no excuse not to build some.
Fun fact, INexorable, he's the only other player as one medevac goes down. He's the only other player that I see that has Total Biscuit as the announcer. The only one. Drop does come in. It's 5 SCV kills. Gets a tank. Gets one, but doesn't. Oh, it does get two. 2 tanks go down. 3 tanks go down. So not a bad trade here as he's even denying some of the upgrades. Oh, can he finish and deny +1? Takes down the Vikings, denies the upgrade. Very nice pickoff. Almost gets a second armory. Not bad. INexorable, he gets good damage. Did lose some SCVs across the map. But that was what? That was 9 Vikings. That was 3 tanks. And 8 SCVs. But now he's vulnerable to a counterattack. And here comes Yan. He's up in army supply. He's up in economy. He's up in every which way. The pure tank army has arrived. And what can INexorable do about it? He's gonna have to pull the boys. He stims in. The boys are being pulled. Massive tank boys going off. Yan, he can clean up a good amount of tanks. But can he clean up all of them? It looks like he can. Oh my god. 10 SCV kills. He barely gets the final tank. Do we get an auto turret? We do. Auto turret gets thrown down. Oh, 15 SCV kills though. GG gets called. It's just too much. And Yan, he fights back. He puts a point on the board. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Yan, he's able to recover, able to stabilize, able to have a much stronger start in game number 3, able to embrace mech, able to get ahead economically, and INexorable, he overextended. If you recall, he did overextend, he did overcommit. He lost too much, and he got like 1 or 2 tanks. He really didn't get much at the third base. Things swung heavily in favor of the Red Terran, of Yan. And now we have a series, we have it back and forth. Now, what I will say is that mech is arguably strongest on Crimson Court. I think Crimson Court is one of the best, if not the best map for mech. Outside of that, though, that's where I'm curious as to the vetoes, and I'm curious as to the map order. Ooh. As the next game is going to be on Post-Youth. Interesting. Post-Youth is more open. Post-Youth is a little bit more vulnerable when it comes to taking your 4-base setup. So it's not going to be as easy to embrace mech here. We'll see how Yan mixes it up. We'll see how Yan does approach this. So we are jumping into game number 4. And at least we have a back and forth. That's all I wanted. A back and forth series here. Yan showing that he can pose a threat to INexorable, especially if he's able to have a strong start. He's like, how do you like it? Being a head-in worker, it's crazy. So now getting into Post-Youth. Again, a bit of a smaller map. Shorter rushes is by ground. There are goal bases, there's the in-base hybrid base as well, of course, with the high-yield minerals. Do we mech it up again? As spawning in the top left-hand corner, sorry, top right-hand corner of Post-Youth, we have the Brazilian Terran player, the blue Terran representing the Platinum Heroes. It is INexorable. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the Brazilian Terran player, the red Terran representing Team Hellfire. It is Yan. go. We have our TvT. We have our series as well, thankfully. Back and forth. Gonna be loading into post-youth. Again, one of the big features. Oh my... Oh, as Yan has to calm down. A little bit nervous there. Does accidentally pull all the boys towards the mineral patch, towards the gas geyser. Hopefully he can bring it all home and bring it together. Double gas. Interesting. Okay, double gas opener out of INexorable, double gas out of Yan as well. What I was going to say is that we do have the in-base natural, so you can be a little bit more greedy here. It is a very defendable natural because it's a part of your main. So we have a pocket base essentially, or just like an in-base base, if that makes sense. Yeah. In-base base. So because of that, you can be quite greedy here. We can see, though, that both players are being careful. It looks like they may be anticipating proxies. This is not an uncommon map for proxy Raxes, just because there's a couple of different ways to get into the main base as well, with this Reaper Cliff here on the right, or both Reaper Cliffs even. Meanwhile, it's going to be Reactor first. Bold move. Okay, so it's going to be Reacted Reaper out of Yan. Meanwhile, INexorable going Rax into faster Factory. Slightly faster. As both players are going to be avoiding their natural bases for the time being. They will eventually expand, but until then, Reapers are moving out. SCV Scout towards the left-hand side. I say SCV Scout, I'm curious if Yan is planning to go for a proxy starport. He is. Yeah, the SCV is moving out with intentions. What are we planning, Bappy? Let's go. Show us the starport. Yan is being hyper committed. Factory is about to finish, and the starport is on the way. Okay, now we could take this in a couple of different ways. This could be for a proxy medevac to drop into the main with the Hellions to bypass the initial defense, or this could be Reaper Hellion on the right hand side to distract, and a proxy Liberator instead. As Yan is reactivating out those Reapers, making those Hellions. He's amassing an army. I feel like because there are so many Hellions, it should be medevac, right? Should be Hellion drop into the main with Reapers that can just jump off the Reaper cliff. What's it going to be? Oh, nope, it's going to be the Liberator. Okay, it's going to be the other option. The other option. So Liberators instead. Regardless, the goal here is to get some economic damage, just to cripple INexorable. We'll see if he can. You can see INexorable just getting ready here at his own main. Reactoring out Reapers himself, going into Mass Hellion. Both players, in a way, opening up the same, except Yan is more committed with the proxy Liberator. INexorable expanded. Yan is on one base. Yan is essentially one base all in. So one base all in here from the Red Terror player is now expanding, but this is a very delayed expansion. Damage needs to be on the armies. They miss each other. Uh-oh. The armies do pass by. And we could end up in a base trade. The base trade is upon us. INexorable, he hits the main base. So does Yan. Liberator has arrived. Boys being pulled away. At the same time, INexorable, the wall is open. And he busts in. He busts into the mineral line. SCVs are falling. Meanwhile, the wall is standing strong for INexorable back at home. He's defending. And the workers are lining up. Oh my god, massive Hellion shots. The barbecue is real. SCVs are going down at the same time. Oh, he mined through the minerals. Uh-oh. That was not intentional, I don't think. INexorable, he mined through the minerals. The Cyclone is going to fall as well, but there is a Raven. There are auto turrets. Boys are being pulled. 22 SCVs going down across the map. Auto turret has arrived. Oh, is that a range though? Oh my god, and every single SCV is falling. Both players, they don't have any economies. The economies have been crippled. And again, INexorable, he had some miscontrol. And who do we favor here? I mean, on the one hand, GG gets I was gonna say, INexorable, he's up on bases, he has a Cyclone, GG gets called, INexorable, he will come out on top with the base trade, he will come out and he will be our champion. He will be our victor for Code for Giants Cup number 12. GG. A very chaotic game state. GG, well played. Oh my god, going for a base trade again. Yan was completely all in there. Likewise, INexorable, he was up in economy. He just had to buy time. Unfortunately, INexorable, he mined through the mineral patches, so he was left exposed. He was left vulnerable. And Yan was able to likewise cripple the economy, but Yan had to do more. He had to do more than that. And INexorable, he barely did hold, barely did defend. GG. GG, well played. Crazy. Crazy game. And congratulations to INexorable, but a shout out to Yan, because Yan did not go down without a fight. Again, Yan was able to pop off on Crimson Court. Some of these other games as well were more decided by the early game aggression out of INexorable. If you recall, he was able to get ahead early on in the economy by crippling his opponent with Reactor Reaper Hellion, with outpositioning him as well. Just really aggressive play out of INexorable was just pulling Yan apart, never allowing him to settle into the mid game. He never got. The only game he got into the mid game like in a good position was on Crimson Court. Was the game that he won. Outside of that, INexorable was just all over him, was all over his face. GG. GG, well played. GG, well played. Congratulations to INexorable, and a shout out to Yan. Likewise, shout out to the top 4 as Master as well as Kamikaze did make it to the 3rd and 4th place respectively. Very well done. Congratulations, and with that, we are wrapping up here for the day. We're wrapping up for the day. We only have the one cast this morning. This started early on. Jesus, 4.5 hour cast. Once again, I didn't really get much sleep, but on the one hand, as I'm dying. Oh my god. I could go and get some rest. True, I could go and sleep. I could go and get some rest. But if you remember, I wasn't able to stream yesterday. I planned to. I was planning to stream yesterday, but I also got like 4 hours sleep yesterday. So after the Stegosaurus Cup, I did get some rest. I went to sleep. And I wasn't able to stream. And I don't want to miss out on streams too often. So it's probably not the best idea, because I'm a little bit sleep deprived and I'm tired. So I'm probably going to have a wall of red and lose a lot of games, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun. And I have been missing some ladder sessions. So so after this cast, I'm going to be going live on my personal channel. I'm going to be laddering. Again, I'm a little bit tired. I'm not at 100%. So don't expect any wins. Don't expect for me to win any games. Nah. Wall of red, papi. We expect the MMR to tank. It'll be fine. It'll be fine, papi. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So I'm going to be going to quickly get some food, get some water, just like a small snack or something. And then we will be jumping into a ladder session on my personal channel on light_VIP. Otherwise, hope you all enjoy yourselves. Hope you all had a great time. If you want some more Brazilian StarCraft action, then we have you covered. Of course, elsewhere. Then we have you covered in 2 weeks. This is a bi-weekly tournament, so every 2 weeks we have some code for Giants Cup for you. Every 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks' time, we'll have another event. Otherwise, if you want our next broadcast, it's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be the Pondcast. The Pondcast is our weekly talk show, weekly podcast going over the news and tournaments of the week in StarCraft 2, and also StarCraft adjacent news as well. So yeah, we do have another broadcast tomorrow. No casting, but at least, you know, a podcast, if you will, instead. So I hope you enjoy. We do go over everything that's been going on. So yeah, it is what we're going to be having tomorrow. Otherwise, if you want our next tournament cast, I think that's going to be over the weekend. Let me just double check here. But yeah, it's going to be over the weekend. We have the StarCraft Evolution League on a Saturday, and we have Sparkling Tuna Cup on Sunday. So we have our weekly tournaments around the corner. Friday we have off, and again, Thursday we won't be casting. We're going to be hosting a talk show instead. So I will also be laddering those days. I should be having some ladder sessions, should be able to stream, and should be able to have some StarCraft in other ways. So that's the plan. That is the current plan. We'll also be playing some Final Fantasy over the weekend as well. Final Fantasy 14. We are playing through the story. So if you're interested in that, then you can tune in on at least Friday for some Final Fantasy action. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Again, a shout out to INexorable for coming out on top. Oh my god. I just got a notification. I don't know what that is. As Hyper One, he redeems another replay? 2 replays, Hyper One. You're crazy. You're crazy. Ay, ay, ay. Insane. Hyper One. Grapes, man. But yeah, I might actually have a replay cast over the weekend, just because we have nothing like official scheduled. I might just have a dedicated replay cast instead. Yeah, that's probably what I'll do. We do have some replays to go over, so may as well. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for tuning in. We have quite a bank. Quite an amount of replays kind of stacked up here over the past couple of weeks. Two replays from Hyper One. We have a replay from ARJ Skater. I think a replay from Soundo as well. So we'll go over that. We will go over that over the weekend on Saturday. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the support. We do appreciate it. I'm going to be heading off for the time being, and I'll see you guys over for a cheeky ladder session. See you guys over on my personal channel. Otherwise, thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Ciao. If you want, you can support us by via following us on social media. ! Socials in the chat. You will get a link to our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. All things CranKy Ducklings. Likewise, you can support us on Patreon as well. All things CranKy Ducklings. Once again. Otherwise, see you guys next time. Until then, ciao, bye, ciao. See you next time.